Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai. Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Deva ki Jai. Shri Varaha Deva ki Jai. Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Radha Govinda Madhava ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Agora Premanandi. Oh, gloriously assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to the Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Oh, glorious to Sri Prabhupada. Namaho Vasudevaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Asayavishayane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8. Bali Maharaj arrested by the Lord. Canto 8, text number 4. Datu.
No.
Is that right?
No, that's text number 5.
Oh, 5. Sorry. Okay. Text number 5. Brahmadayo Lokanataha Vanataya Samadritaha Sanuga Balim Ajaruhu Samshiptatma Vibhutaye Brahmadayo Lokanatha Svanataya Samadritaha Sanugavalim Ajahu Samshiptatma Vibhutaye Brahmadayo Lokanatha Svanataya Samadritaha Sanugavalim Ajahu Samshiptatma Vibhutaye Brahmadayo Lokanatha Svanataya Samadritaha Sanugavalim Ajahu Samshiptatma Vibhutaye
Brahmadayo Lokanatha Svanataya Samadritaha
Sanugavalim
Samshritatma Vibhutaye Pramadayo Lokanatha Svanataya Samadritaha Samshritatma Vibhutaye Pramadayo Lokanatha Svanataya Samadritaha Sanugavanimadhu Samshritatma Vibhutaye. Ladies. Pramadayo Lokanatha Sanataya Samadhitaha Sanugavanimadhu Samshritatma Vibhutaye. Pramadayo Lokanatha Sanataya Samadhitaha Sanugavanimadhu Samshritatma Vibhutaye. Brahma Adayaha, great personalities, headed by Lord Brahma, Lokanatha, the predominating deities of various planets, Svanataya, unto their supreme master, Samadritaha, with great respect, Sa-anugaha. Did you hear? Okay, just remind him about those two boxes if you can. Okay. Go with it. Safe journey. Fatima is now leaving for all the way to Etamp and then flying to Budapest, the land of Buddha. On one side of the river is a pest, on the other side of the river is called Buddha. Make sure on the right side of the river. Is it that? One side is called Buddha, and the other side is called pest. It doesn't mean pest in Hungarian. Balim. Right word? Huh? Samadritaha. With great respect. Sa-anugaha. With their respective followers. Well, just make sure that she doesn't take your books. I told him to take the books from the reception room.
That's what you took.
Yeah, well, there's two more. He's got his box at the reception room as well. I might head off with Jagannath's box of books. Interesting time. Balim. Different paraphernalia of worship. And Ajaru. Collected. Samshiptatma Vibhutaye unto the Lord, who had expanded his personal opulence, but had now reduced his size to the Vamana form. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma and all the predominating deities of the various planetary systems began to worship Lord Vamanadev. their supreme master, who had reduced himself from his all-pervading form to his original form. They collected all the ingredients and paraphernalia for this worship. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Vamanadev first expanded himself to the universal form and then reduced himself to the original Vamana Rupa. Thus he acted exactly like Lord Krishna, who, at the request of Arjuna, first showed his universal form and later resumed his original form as Krishna. The Lord can assume any form he likes, but his original form is that of Krishna. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. According to the capacity of the devotee, the Lord assumes various forms so that the devotee can handle him. Interesting term. This is his causeless mercy. When Lord Vamanadev resumed his original form, Lord Brahma and his associates collected various paraphernalia for worship with which to please him. End of purport by Srila Prabhupada. I'll read the translation again to this verse. Lord Brahma and all the predominating deities of the various planetary systems began to worship Lord Vamanadev, their supreme master, who had reduced himself from his all-pervading form to his original form. They collected all the ingredients and paraphernalia for this worship. Vamana Rupa, the form of the Lord in the form of a dwarf. The Lord also, as Prabhupada so, let's say, personally points out here, how the Lord assumes various forms so that the devotee can handle him. Takes on different forms. For the non-devotee, he also takes on different forms. Death. We may not be able to handle it, but we've got no choice. Sometimes the universal form, or the cosmic form, sometimes. Some kind of appreciation for the materialist. Impersonal form. Reciprocating with the, in this case of course, Prabhupada said the devotee can handle him. The non-devotee can't handle Krishna. Therefore he doesn't show his personal form. And even if he does, they don't see it. They see a material form. They're seen through material eyes. Just like the Lord assumes the form of the deity. Here we have Krishna Balaram Radha Govinda Madhava, Gaurnitai, and so on. For the devotee, if he was to show his universal form, Prabhupada said, how would you dress him? Ram Vijay, Krishna Charana, how would you dress the Namacharya? How would you dress the deity? If we came in the morning, Krishna's in his universal form. You have enough outfits, enough crowns? Huh? No, it wouldn't be very ecstatic. You'd be busy, you'd be very busy. You might may not make it through the session. So he assumes a form which we can handle. He does this for his devotees. Sometimes, literally, we see with, for instance, with Gadadhar Pandita, when he was getting very old, Gopinath sat down because he couldn't get up there, to reach him. So, yes, even in deity form, sometimes for his devotee, he appears to change that deity form. Sometimes happens. He reciprocates to his devotee. And even in this form, why does he do this? Another reason is he's reciprocating with the materialist in this world. These forms, eternal they are, but they're also known as naimitika. They're in relationship with past times within this world. They're eternally going on. So why does he, another reason he does that, Prabhupada says, is he's reciprocating with the materialist. If you tell a materialistic person, even a person who's just mundane religion, oh, this is God. I don't see a picture here. Even you say, this is God, Gopal. Gopal's up there on the wall playing his flute, beautiful form. Say, this, who's your God? This is our God. What will they say? Well, that's a beautiful painting. Do you really believe that's God? I mean, we're talking to pious people here. The impersonalists used to say nonsense.
He's too young.
He's too young, yeah. Where's his long hair and beard? He's got long hair. But it's still black. It should be grey, right? Well, why is he blue? God's not blue. Looking there. Who's that girl? He's not a girl. Who's the girlfriend? They're more interested in the girlfriend usually. Or even more. I mean, okay, that's possible to say. Okay, God has a human life. God is made in the image of man, right? Isn't that the idea? Is that what it says? God is made in the image of man.
Yeah, in the Bible. Yeah, we read that.
It says that in the Bible? They've changed it now. The other way around, somebody said. Man is made in the image of God. But we can't imagine God, we kind of think, well, God has to have a human-like form. Well, he does. He appears in his human-like form. But what happens when he appears in that? Avajananti mamada manushan tanamashita. What happens? Fools, what do? They deride him when he appears in that human-like form. But what to speak of other forms? Right? Okay, Vamana is a kind of human-like form, a dwarf, Dwarf. So if you say, God is a dwarf, make a dwarf doesn't make dwarf make God. This is a dwarf. But okay, what do you say? You saw a picture of Matsya. You seen Matsya? A fish, okay? It's God, this is God. What do they think? If you're lucky, they might say no. Depends what so-called religion they belong to. We heard all. They can't conceive of it. God, a fish. Now we know these Hindus are real. I mean, they get this idea. What they call it? Anthropomorphism or something, isn't it? You worship animals as God and everything's God, That tree over there, there's God, it's God. We worship the tree. The stone. Here's a stone. Here he is on the altar. He's a stone. You guys are worshipping a stone? Are you stoned? You're mad. You're worshipping a stone. This is God. Giriraj. Right. Vamade. Varahade. Stones. Mad. Even the form, beautiful. Well, even mundane people may say that they're beautiful. But you don't believe this is God. This is a statue. It's marble. They can't see beyond marble. Well, they said because they got stone-like hearts, they only see stone. The heart is stone, we only see stone. And to portray our own, limited concept on. Like in day probably was talking during that time, and they're saying that he was saying how beautiful colours of day they're dressed in. So colourful. We can hardly imagine a colour, maybe there's not purple, I don't know. You can hardly imagine a colour that's not there with our experience, huh? There's so many rainbow outfit. Rainbow outfit. Beautiful outfit. But I was saying that, we can only imagine, we can only perceive that which is with our experience. But spiritually, there could be unlimited colours which we have no idea exist. Oh, that's not possible. That's impossible. These are all the colours of the rainbow. But why not in the spiritual world there are colours that we cannot even imagine? It's not possible for us to conceive. We're conditioned. We're still in a relation with God. And what the reason with the materialist Prabhupada says that he takes on these forms also, not just to perform pastimes for his devotees or for certain purposes, to reciprocate. But he said he takes on these forms too. He's reciprocating with the atheist. As soon as they hear God is a hog, he's a boar. God is a fish. I don't know how fish speak. Sounding makes me I've never heard the sound of a fish. God is a lion, half lion. He's only half a lion, not even a full lion. He's only half a lion. Half man, half lion. He didn't quite know which man. Or maybe dad was a lion and mum was a human or something. God knows what it was. What else does he do? What's another form in case? Huh?
Horse.
Horse. Horse is horse. Okay. If you're the horse lover, you might like that one.
Tortoise.
Huh?
Tortoise.
Tortoise. Yeah, tortoise. Kurma. Tortoise. Tortoise is our God. Here is our God. Tortoise. Yeah. Okay. Pull the other leg, we say in English. You guys are really in a dream world. Well, he does that. One of the reasons Prabhupada says is to convince the atheist there is no God. The atheist, this is crazy. I don't believe all this stuff. It's easy to see, isn't it? Even I don't know how everyone here feels, but it's easy to see, if we're coming from some, personal background maybe, but if we're coming from some sort of, materialistic religious background, the concept of God, if there is anyone, if it's some kind of, as you said earlier, some old human-like form sitting up on a throne with a, what do they call this thing? Scepter, and then maybe a thunderbolt coming down in one hand and a scepter in the other, Yeah. Oh, and getting tired up there, throwing thunderbolts, sending people to hell forevermore, whatever it is. This is about as far as the God concept. It doesn't go much more than that. Maybe you hear a little bit, sometimes he's very beautiful. There are some statements in Psalms, I think, describing a little bit about the beauty of God. Doesn't seem to be such an old man after all. Or those who are so-called religious. I've seen pictures of heaven, and it looks really nice there. Have you seen these paintings? Sometimes in the Christians they have painted one cult, one sector. They have these magazines. They put pictures of what it's like in heaven. Your dog is there. You're there. Or your grandmother's there. Yeah. I don't know if you have a choice which one you want to be, you know. It's like which stage of your life you are in the spiritual world. I'm not sure you have a choice, or it's just kind of ordained. But there's one person missing. God. There's no God there. Everyone else is there, but no God. It's kind of a missing link. This is the only missing link in society is God. Everything else is, whatever it is. This is a real missing link that they're missing, is God, the personality of Godhead. So, because it's, well, let me say, it takes a little bit of mercy, causeless mercy, to have the good fortune to be able to conceive of, we read about Matsya, even this one, about he appears a little dwarf, and then he suddenly, boom, he's a universal form beyond conception, covering the whole universe. And then he's back again as a little dwarf. And all the demigods, whoever they are, coming and worshipping him. Pretty, well, what can you say? Inconceivable, almost, to the normal eye. It's just mythology. Mythology. It's a myth. You are mad. You are crazy. You believe all this stuff. There is no God. If there ever was one, he's dead. Why is all this suffering going on if there's a God? Come on, tell me. Why is there suffering? Don't ask me that question. Why is there a lot of suffering? What's God doing? I went to church 10 years ago. Why is there suffering in the world? Oh, he's got an answer.
There's somebody who wrote a book. He had a lot of misery in his life, and then he came to the conclusion that God is a nice person, but sometimes he just can't handle all the problems.
Ah, that's what it is. Overwhelmed. It's like that when you try to manage a temple, I can tell you. You don't want to kind of get angry or whatever, but it gets overwhelming sometimes. You just can't deal with it. Oh, that's how it falls. Oh, go to sleep. Yeah, God's got tired of it all, huh? He's probably sleeping, actually. He's probably deep asleep. Since he is, right? Lying in the ocean. The kind of ocean.
He has a competitor, heavy.
Who?
God has a. Why are they suffering? Because there is another one.
You got it. That's right. He's losing the battle with the. What's this guy's name?
Belzebub,
Satan? Saturn? No, Satan. Satan.
Lucifer.
Saturn. The devil, Lucy Lamar. The competition between Kriya and Lucy Lamar is going on. You've got a competitor, right? And the competitor sometimes gets on top, right? Overcomes God, And sin comes in. And that's like another subject matter, I think. Of bewilderment, all based on the fact, what is it based on? Inability to perceive of God. As it says here, God can assume any form he likes. If you say he cannot assume the form, or he can't be in the form of a tortoise, or a turtle, or that God can't be whatever, some other form, what does that mean? Pardon? Who's not God?
He cannot take some form.
Why?
Because he cannot be something.
But that means if you can use that argument the back to front too. You also have the ability not to be able to do something. He can do anything. So anyway, yes, he can assume any form he likes. So you're putting a limit on him, right? Putting a limit on him. Because how can that be? I don't believe that. Is God limited by our belief? Is he limited by our measure? Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj one time said, anything you can measure is Maya, illusion. God cannot be measured. You can't put a limit on God. Materially speaking, we can measure things. Time is a factor involved. To some extent, we can measure. But spirit cannot be measured. Indicative measurements are given, but in reality, you cannot measure spirit by a material means. God cannot be limited like that. He can choose to be, also appear to be, if he wishes. So for the materialist, he appears to be limited. He appears to leave a body behind. For the materialist, so materially, that's all they see anyway. Even when he's alive, he appears to be material to them. When he's present, he's always alive. But here we see, for the devotee, just like Lord Nrsimhadev, reciprocated accordingly with Hiranyakashipu and with Prahlad. For Prahlad Maharaj, was he an enemy? Was he fearful? Was he bewildering? It was very sweet. I don't know much about the pastimes with the devotees of Kurmadev or with Matsya very much, but I'm sure there are, other than the immediate consort, of course, Lakshmi-Devi in her various forms, but worshippers of the Lord in that way, very attractive. He's not like a smelly, ugly, dirty bore. It's transcendental. Form is Satchidananda, blissful, beautiful form, very attractive. We can perhaps relate so easily. Yes, this is, and why? A way that we can handle it. This is causeless mercy, Prabhupada. This is a key phrase here. Causeless. What does causeless mean? No reason at all?
Caused by itself. Caused by itself.
Caused by itself could be, yeah. I mean, if we're taking a literal definition, of course. But in terms of, let's say, this particular subject matter, because the previous verse seems to have a cause. The Lord can assume any form he likes. His original form is Krishna, according to the capacity of the devotee. The Lord assumes various forms. So it seems like there's a cause. No material reason whatsoever. It's not caused by anything material. Oh, well, that reminds me, socks. If anyone has any socks, please. Some of the devotees are very cold. We apologize for the coldness. It's supposed to get warmer tomorrow. And some devotees, like Ramlila, has no socks. If anyone has any socks, they can give her. She has a cold already. Several devotees I heard have got colds right now. Not surprising. So if anyone has any spare socks, I don't know what size she takes. You can ask her. Please donate some socks to keep her feet warm. Okay? Yes, Ramlila. What size are they? Carry on. What size socks does Lord Varahadev wear?
55.
55 what? Miles? Kilometers? Imagine having socks for Lord Nrsimhadev. Gloves for Lord Nrsimhadev.
Mask.
Huh?
Mask.
Mask, where he's got his own. Thus, mask. Krishna performs, so many dramatic. It's the same person behind it. He's just taking pastimes, reciprocation, etc. He doesn't see any form. Huh?
I have a question.
Do you?
Said that
That's
the Lord-
unusual.
The Lord appears for no reason, like the way he wants. But is there not an order in the way he appears? Like he appears first like a fish, then he becomes a tortoise, You know, like the evolution system.
Yes,
It
evolution.
becomes a man-
You read Krishna Samhita. There's one book by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. You read that book, you'll get even more bewildered. And the answers are there.
God is evolving.
You read that book? Yeah, he comes in order. That's he says, you die. He comes at certain times, certain reasons, certain orders. There's a system to the universal movements. There's a system there. But that doesn't mean he's absolutely bound to do that. He may choose to do that. But he's not absolutely bound. He can reveal that form as he does to his devotees. In Gaur Lila, he revealed his form as Krishna also. He showed his form to, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Roy and others. They saw his form as Krishna, Rama, Sadbhuja. Who else did he reveal? To his devotee, according to his devotee. Maharaja Gupta, who did he show? Ram also. Radhe. Yeah, carrying the universe. He was carrying around the room. And then others, he reveals himself in different ways. Nrsingadev, he revealed himself as Nrsingadev to who?
Did he take the form of Nrsingadev or just the mood of Nrsingadev?
Form.
The
Chankasi. He saw Nrsingadev. I think Janananda Brahmachari also. The eternal servant of Lord Nrsingadev. So he can do that. But it's according to the situation. Certain persons at certain times, they appear in this world. And when they're in a different mood, the Lord will reveal it in that mood to them. If they're pure enough to see it. Fortunate, causeless fortune. He's reciprocating on the spiritual platform with everyone. Everybody. And capacity. This is a very important subject matter, according to the capacity of the devotee. Just like in our devotional service. Maybe at different stages of whatever. On the path of devotion, he reciprocates accordingly. Sometimes he appears in a different way. Well, why doesn't Krishna reveal himself? Well, we're not perhaps quite ready for that. He reveals himself sometimes in different ways. I mean, even sometimes in challenges, difficulties. We just have to try to see him present in whatever situation we're in. It's not a cheap thing to see the Lord in his original form, or in any of these forms, as he is. He's not cheap. If you just show me God. If you say God exists, you show me. Where is he? Hiranyakashipu said that. Prahlad, you say your God is everywhere. Show me. Where is he? I don't see him anywhere. Where is this God? Where is he? Is he in that pillar? Is he there? Atheistic mentality. Can't see. We also maybe, somewhere in between, maybe not so, completely there. Something is there, but maybe not complete. And we're chanting the holy name. Is Krishna there or not? We're chanting. Is he there?
Yes.
Is he in the name or is he in the pillar?
Both.
He's in both?
Both.
How can he be in both?
He's God.
That's another thing, isn't it? Human being. Let's put ourselves in a human form here. Although we're not really humans yet, but let's imagine we're humans. Sometimes, you ever been to a fancy dress party? You heard of a fancy dress party? Do they have it in France? I'm sure they do. Halloween, sometimes they do it on Halloween in America. Americans, they love their Halloween. Pumpkins and everything, right? Big pumpkins. You ever seen that? Whole gardens covered in pumpkins on Halloween in America. You know? Everywhere pumpkins. You got this thing about the pumpkin. You have a good Halloween here with all the pumpkins.
Exhibition here.
Huh?
Exhibition here.
The basement, we can have a Halloween festival. Hallowed be thy name, Halloween. Halloween, the holy name. Yeah, have you been to these fancy dress parties? What do people do? Huh?
Dress up.
They dress up as what? They dress up all the time. What they dress up as? Anything and everything. Whatever they takes their fancy. You can't tell who they are sometimes, right? They dress up like, you know, something other than what this, but they dress up like with a horse's head or, you know, a pig's head or, you know, they dress up like a fish or whatever it is.
Sometimes they dress like Hare Krishnas.
Yes. You see? That's a good one.
They make costumes.
Huh?
They make costumes. To become
Hare Krishna costume.
Right.
Is anyone wearing one here? Anyone got one on? Maybe that's what. If you don't, you know, if you want to, you can just put on a costume and you can go out, you know, at night or something. You don't take your costume off. Oh no. Yeah, they try to, you know, be something they're not. Oh, something they want to be. Some other identity. Huh? Or we dream of it. You ever dreamed about being someone else? Ever dreamed? A lot of people do. Some people physically, I mean, you know, physically, literally speaking. They have sex change and this and that. They just don't like what they want to be a different form. I wouldn't mind being a. No, I'm not I've heard many people say, I wouldn't mind being a dog. Have a good life being a dog. You know.
Not in India.
Well, they're not doing so bad these days. I'll tell you, the dogs in India have really come up the scale, you know, the caste system. They're doing pretty good. Even in Vrindavan, you know, around the you know, the tea booths and everything, you know, where they have the biscuits, what do you call it? Those kind of places where they sell tea and biscuits, you know. All the Indian people are sitting around there, all feeding the dogs. The dogs are sat right next to you looking at them, throwing a biscuit to the dog and letting them out. They're doing pretty good. They're doing better than other animals. They're getting fed pretty well in Vrindavan, the dogs. But in some places they're not. But, you know, they want to be a dog. Okay, we can't do it now. Can you be a dog and a human? You can be a mentality of a dog, but you can't have the body of a dog and a human at the same time usually. Even the yogis, I don't think the yogis can have the two at the same time, can they? They can have similar body, right? Yeah. Up to 9 human bodies or something, or whatever it is. They can't have one is a dog, one is a cat, one is a human, one is a pig, one is a boar, you know, one is a tortoise, one is a half man, half lion. But Krishna can do all this. Let's say this is God. He can do them all at the same time, everywhere, if he wants. Conceivable. It's not like, okay, today I'm going to be a boar. Yesterday I was a hog. Today I'm going to know that's the same thing. Yesterday I was, what's the one before the boar? Huh?
Fish.
Fish, is it?
Tortoise.
Okay, yes, there's a fish. I'm bored of that. I'll become a boar today. Now I'm bored of being a boar. I'll become a lion and half man. No, it's not like that. All these pastimes are going on. But they're ever varied. It's not boring. Can you imagine if you were told you were going to be a boar for eternity? The body of a boar for eternity? What would you think? Huh? I don't know what we think.
Boring.
Very boring, thank you. One person got the answer. I was just testing it. Or a fish forevermore, that's very fishy. Lion, that's a lie. Whatever it is, you know, I can't believe. Oh no. I have to go for eternity. In many aspects, but this is inconceivable to the material point of view. The Lord expands himself. We like to expand ourselves. We try to expand ourselves, and we do to a certain extent. We dress in different ways. We have different hairstyles. Ladies, they like to have different hairstyles, now people like different colours, different coloured hair. Sometimes they have this change of face, and sometimes this and that. Try to look different, some variety, different shoes, different clothes, different places, different coats. We're always looking for variety. It comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead because He's the reservoir of unlimited variety, not just in terms of, under the time frame when you go to a different place for your holiday. He can go to every place all the time. He's everywhere. This is God. We're not God. This is one of the unlimited characteristics of God. If you're God, you have to be able to assume any form and all forms all at the same time. But that's not within our capacity. Therefore, He assumes apathy, just like in the rasas relationships, even on the spiritual plane, different individuals. The Lord, even in the form of His original human-like form of Krishna, He's reciprocating differently, right? Mother Yasoda, how does she see Him? As a little kid. Even in this world, your mum, if your mum's still around, if you go home, in one sense, she still sees you like her little kid, right? She wants to. She may not physically be able to exactly do it, but, sit down. She's cooked your favourite, whatever it is, I don't know what they cook in France for their kids. What do they like in France? Croissant. I cook your favourite croissant. In England, it's apple pie, your favourite apple pie. Sit down, you're 60 years old, you're the president of France. Sit down. Mum says, sit down now and eat your croissant. Okay? Why are you late, Where have you been? Be a good boy, okay? Maybe not quite like that, but to a certain extent. In India, it's very much like that, huh? Like that? The guy's 60-year-old, businessman. No, you don't say Lakpati anymore, it's billionaire, right? Billionaire now. Lakpati is a poor man in India now, right?
Yeah.
It's a poor beggar on the streets. I was doing I couldn't believe it. We were doing pricking around Giriraj one day, and there's another example of this mountain's God. And you feel it. If you're devotional, you can feel God's presence there like nowhere else. It's incredible. And you've got hundreds of these sadhus or sadhvis or whatever all around Govardhan, right? And then hundreds sitting there with their little pots in front of them or their plates in front of them. You know this? There's a bit there. And you buy a bag of, 200, 500 rupee bag, which if you actually count it is only about 75% of what you gave them. You gave them 100 rupees, they gave you 75 back in coins. I always make sure it's 100, I don't. I let them go at 95 and not less than that. I check. These guys are rip-off. They're very passive, so it's all right. But still, we want to give more coins to the. It all goes back to the same thing. It's one big syndicate anyway. One big wheel going on there. And there's one guy, he sat there, boom, 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 boom. And then the guy next to him is turning the other way. I just wonder what he's doing, this Saturday. He had a wad of notes, 1,000 rupee notes, counting them like this, 1,000 rupees. Maybe they don't even have that now. That was in the old days when they had 1,000 rupees. I don't think they have it anymore, do they? 1,000 rupees still? Still got 1,000.
They introduced 2,000.
Yeah, 2,000. So he's counting the wad, one of these beggars sat there, One side he's like, holding his ball with a few coins in. He's turned the other way, facing Govardhan, counting thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of rupees in his hand. Maybe he was a leader, I don't know what he was. It's all part of the pastime of Govardhan. You have to accept it for what it is. It's one of those far right things. Transcendental pastime. But anyway, how we gone on to that? But the Lord reciprocating accordingly. So, according to our ability to ayayatam He rewards us accordingly. And for the devotee, these various forms are very blissful, very satisfying to see. And what else happens is that in these forms, the Lord, when we focus our consciousness on these various forms of the Lord, our attraction for the forms of this world dissipates. Just like when the sun rises, the fog dissipates. This is another aspect of the Lord's pastimes, performing various leelas, whether it's with Mother Yasoda. We are very, very attached to family, affection, friendly relationships, for instance, Sudama, Sridama, all the coward boys. How does Krishna appear to them? Coward boy, a friend, a mate, an opponent sometimes, fun, different relationships, different rasas are there. And he doesn't manifest certain rasas in relationship with Mother Yasoda. And some of those rasas, some of those natures, those moods, those characteristics are not manifest with the coward boys. It reveals a certain, according to their nature, which they can handle, which they're being handling in the spiritual world, which means nourishes their loving affection to the Lord. Nothing which will not nourish their loving affection. He only manages that which reveals that which will nourish their loving affection. As they surrender unto me, I reward according with the gopis, with the impersonalists, with the servants. They may hear about it, but they don't experience it. The mood of Mother Yasoda, the Krishna reciprocating with Mother Yasoda. And we also do, when we're with people, when we're with friends, you don't behave like with friends like you do with your girlfriend, with a boyfriend. When you're with your boyfriends, you don't have the same mood as you do with a girlfriend or boyfriend, whichever it is, or with your parents, or with people in general, or with innate and inanimate objects around us, or with animals, or whatever it is. We reciprocate differently normally. Otherwise it will be incompatibility. Everything is based on compatibility according to our situation, material, spiritual. And when it's not properly related, then we have problems. When we try to be something we're not, when we try to reciprocate with people inappropriately, then we have problems. Incompatibility. Everything is based on this rasa vasa, or favourable or unfavourable relationship, even in the material world. Misunderstanding. And on the material platform, there's the basic root. You could say rasa vasa, which is the cause of all the other details that come from it as well. Incompatibility. What is that basic incompatibility?
Because we identify with the body.
Yeah, that we're identifying as spirit, soul, identifying with the material body as the self is the root incompatibility. I mean, we can go beyond that of aversion towards Krishna, etc. But within this world, it's this false identity, Maya, illusion, identifying ourselves as someone we're not, and from there all the other incompatible experiences evolve. And ultimately they're all incompatible because they're all affected by, even the ones that appear, oh, I've got the perfect relationship, I've got everything perfect. But what's the problem? What is the problem? We may not be aware of it right now, but what is the problem? Death is one aspect of the problem. Envy is at the root. But what is the problem we have to inevitably face? The passing of time. Taking everything away. Whether it's death or not death, it takes everything away, right? People go away, they change their moods, the laws change, you get sick, so many things happen. Moods change, and it becomes incompatible. So much incompatibility. So this is all based on this false identity. That's the real thing. And it's impossible to grasp anything outside of our capacity to actually understand it anymore. At least we may accept it if we're faithful, but to actually, with this material concept. As long as we're identifying with the body, to understand the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord, what happens if you understand the transcendental nature of God?
take birth again.
Never take birth again, go back to Godhead. But as long as we're identifying with this body as the self, that won't happen. We may repeat, we may theorize, we may have some faith. We may be practicing the path for that because we have faith or good fortune. We're practicing, self-realization path. But we're still identifying ourselves with this mind. Don't forget the mind. It's a little easier to say I'm not the body. When we say that, we usually mean the physical one, right? Isn't it? But to say I'm not the mind, that gets a little bit more subtle, a little more. Because we tend to identify with our mental state, which is also another karmic reaction from our past experiences in this world. We tend to identify with the mind. The way I think. One time Prabhupada said, who cares what you think? Stop thinking. Of course, sometimes people think we have stopped thinking, you've all become zombies. But Prabhupada wasn't referring to that kind of stop thinking. Stop speculating based upon your past illusions and trying to make those illusions realities, trying to retract your illusions on, potential reality or reality. That's our tendency. I know, I think I know, or I know. So it's quite an interesting, what to say. But by hearing these pastimes from pure devotees of the Lord, even if we don't understand, it's very, very purifying and very beneficial. One time a devotee said, how do you understand this, Prabhupada? In the 11th canto, Bhagavatam, Ugasena, 10th canto, Ugasena has 33 trillion bodyguards. If you know what that is. I don't know if you know what a trillion is. What's a trillion? What is it? A million, billion, I think it is. I don't know, it's different in England to America. But it's a lot. It's a lot. Whatever it is. Huh? Whatever it is. It's a lot. 33 of them. 33 of those lots. How do you understand this, Prabhupada? I said, you don't. How do you explain it? You don't. You can't do it. It's inconceivable. Spirit is not conceivable. Takshi Krishna Namadina Bhavad Goyamidvi. With material senses, we cannot conceive it. There's one of those inconceivabilities. God, quality of God is He's inconceivable to material senses. If He's conceivable to material senses, He's measurable, therefore He's not God, He's in Maya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It reciprocates with us according to our surrender. See if we chant the holy names, it depends. What is the surrender when we chant the holy name? Hearing. And of course, within the realm of hearing, it's not just a mechanical hearing either. That evolves into going deeper and deeper and deeper. It's not just, do you hear me? And you simply repeat. But I say, do you really hear me? You understand what I'm saying? If anyone ever met Gaur Govinda Maharaj, that was the most common thing. You understand? You understand? You understand? No. At least you're honest. Because if you say yes, you better be ready for the next one. How much we understand. How deep is it? Some theoretical things, some Krishna is blue. Krishna plays a flute. Krishna peacocks. Fantastic. How deep. It's like childlike. So children, it's like that with a child. And as they grow up, their knowledge of things matures. We have to grow up, not just stay like children in that sense. Just mechanical. It's a relationship. Krishna is Namarup. He is, the name is Krishna. Everything will be revealed. Attitude of heart, surrendered attitude in heart, dependent attitude, submissive attitude, Otherwise Krishna reciprocates, he stays well away. Prabhupada says like cooking from 300 miles away. You've got the pot, funny story, isn't it? The pot's up on top of a bamboo stilts, sticks, high up, 10 feet, 20 feet, 10 meters above the fire. How do you cook it? You have to get in the fire. If you're getting cold, you can come down to the hut and get in the fire. Fire's burning nicely down there. You got to get the boilers working. They're gonna start working soon, right? I'm not sure if they're gonna start working soon. They're trying their best. It's just we're doing, what can we say? We apologize for any coldness inconveniences. Hopefully it'll be solved soon. Krishna will reveal himself in the form of heat, fire, another form of God. Thank God for this fire. There's another form of God. Water, fire, they're all his energies. Appears in different ways. Thank you, Tan. Okay, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. I was going to read from Brahma Samhita, but never mind, we can read it. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha, nice purport, and Ramadi Murtisu Kalani, Amena Tishtan, Ananda Param, Krishna Swayam Samava Paramakuman Govindam Adipurusam, Damaham Bhajami. What was that verse? Who knows the translation? I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifests himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the form of Ram, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc., as his subjective portions. They're also parts of the Supreme, samsa parts. And we're Vibhinats, we're not that same category, we're limited, under the control of time. Controlled. Okay, Hare Krishna, any comments? Questions? Ishvara Parama Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. Satchidananda Vigraha, he has a body made of
Knowledge.
bliss. Eternity, bliss, and knowledge, and bliss. And what else? Sarvakara, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadir. Anadir is? No beginning, beginningless. No, eternally existing. Anadir Adir Govinda. The original, Supreme Lord. No beginning, Govinda. Adipurusha. Sarvakarana Karanam. Cause of all causes. He has no cause. He's eternally existing. Again, another inconceivability, isn't it? Something's eternally existing, and is it measurable? Is it in space? Can you contain it within space? It's inconceivable from a material perspective. Everything is measured, huh? Space, time. Is God also contained within space and time? No. His energies are also, in that sense, inconceivable. They appear to be measurable, they're also inconceivable and measurable. Even the material energy, you can't necessarily measure it. It's ever expanding in various ways. The soul, in one sense, you could say, is 1/10,000th the size of the tip of a hair, but in another sense, that's not a dimension. You can't qualify it by that dimensional description either. Inconceivable, minute at the same time. Doesn't have that capacity of the Supreme Soul. Partial. Nityanam Chaitanya Chaitanam. It's tiny capacity, similar capacity but small. Any comments?
On this verse or in general? on this verse? Or in general?
Well, preferably. Many times Prabhupada was, in the beginning Prabhupada was quite lenient more, but later on he would say, had a question, Prabhupada would say, on the verse, a question on this verse, not any old question. Beginning sometimes, any old question. What about Joan of Arc? One that lecture, one girl said, what about Joan of Arc or something like that? You know? I can't remember what Prabhupada would say. Is Joan of Arc in the Srimad Bhagavatam? That was it. Is Joan of Arc in the Srimad Bhagavatam? In the early days, you know. I don't know if they were French or not. There in Bhagavatam, we're only seeing a tiny tip of the surface, tip of the iceberg. Tip of the iceberg. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Bhadra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. So we're going to go down now and worship the tortoise. And on the altar we worship the boar. And we're going to worship the stone, right? The mountain.
And the plants.
Plant, worship the plant. And what else are we going to worship today? Half lion.
The cows.
The cow. The cow. And what else?
Well, they take advantage of this